The Bible says, "And the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying, Command the children of Israel, to make of the Levites and cities dwelling from the inheritance of their possessions, and you shall also give the Levites from the land around the cities."
They shall have the cities to dwell in, and their common land shall be for their cattle, for their herds, and for all their animals. The common land of the city, which you will give the Levites, shall extend from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits all around. And you shall measure outside the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, on the south side 2,000 cubits, on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. The city shall be in the middle. This shall belong to them as common land for the cities.
6.
Now among the cities which you will give to the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge, to which a manslayer may flee. And to these you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities you will give to the Levites shall be 48. These you shall give with their common land. And the cities which you will give shall be from the possession of the children of Israel. From the larger tribe you shall give many, from the smaller tribe you shall give few. Each shall give some of its cities to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance that each receives.
9.
And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then ye shall appoint your cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee, which kill any person at unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die, not until he stands before the congregation in judgment.
And that's what they call one of the churches, City of Refuge.
Yeah, city of refuge.
That's Noah Jones, right?
Yeah.
That's where you got it.
So that's where you got it from, the City of Refuge. What does refuge mean?
A safe place.
A safe haven.
Protection.
Yeah, something that you can protect yourself in. But anyway, 13.
And of these cities which ye shall give 6 cities shall ye have for refuge. Ye shall give these cities on this side of Jordan, and 3 cities shall ye give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge both for the children of Israel, and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that killeth any person unawares may flee thither.
Lord have mercy.
But if he strikes him with an iron implement so that he dies, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he strikes him with a stone in his hand by which one could die, and he does not die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he strikes him with a wooden hand weapon by which one could die, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death.
19.
The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. But if he thrusts him of hatred, or hurl at him of laying by weight, that he die, or an enemy smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer.
Okay, where's that?
21. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him.
Is it avenger or
22?
revenger?
Revenger.
22, wrong.
But if he trusts him suddenly without or have cast upon him anything without thing of weight, or with any stone wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him, that he died, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments.
So guys, I'm thankful for it now. Go back into your one. The Bible says clear as a bell, what?
He spoke to Moses.
He spoke to Moses.
And the
Where is
plains
it?
of
He
Moab,
said the plains of Moab by what?
by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying,
So then what does that say? How close are they? You got it. They there now. They there now. They are there now. So you got to see that. So then, now, and then you said, he dared to do what? Command the children of Israel. As they give the Levites the cities to dwell in from their inheritance and possessions. And you shall also put the Levites in common land around the cities. Hold your paper, I just want you to see this. I've got water, food, clothing, and housing. All of the necessities that each human being must have in order to survive and sustain life. Amen.
Amen.
But physical and material items are not the only thing necessary to sustain life. Meaning, significance, purpose, satisfaction, and fulfillment. All these are necessary to live a full and free life on the earth. The necessities of life are provisions that we absolutely must have in order to live and experience the fullness of life. When dealing with the necessities of life, there is a wonderful, glorious news God promises to meet every need of human life. I've got our meat. Somebody can read that. Our meat.
Our meat and potatoes were not simply the fruit of our Father's labors, but were the Lord's good provision for us, a gift of His grace. I'm not sure how much we understand that concept as children, but it is nonetheless true. Everything that we receive in life comes to us from God, not as something that we have merited, but as an undeserved act of His favor. Some of God's gifts, though, are not simply unmerited, they are positively demerited. Perhaps we diligently pursued ungodly spouses, but God preserved us from our desires. Certainly, we have often been less than adequate parents to our children, yet God has guarded them from many of the effects of our sin. Sometimes we have been irresponsible and foolish in our actions, yet God has taken us through the valley of our sin and brought us safely through to the other side. Looking back on what we have received and on what we have not received, we surely have reason to be truly thankful.
Keep going.
Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. God's grace doesn't simply mean not getting what you deserve, but receiving something that is exactly the opposite of what you deserve.
So then, get back to your Bible. Now you're going to get into it. And I said all that to get you to see how good God is, how wonderful God is, how God protected them, how God provided for them, and how often did they go against God? How often did they rebel against God? Even to the time of coming up to where they are now, there was still some rebellion. And when I say that, what was some of the rebellion? That even up to this point, what was of some of the rebellion? Even up to this point. Something in particular. What would that be? Up to this point. You there? Who? You there? That's it? You there? That's it? Who? Reubenites, yes. Manasseh. They wanted to stay on the other side. Even to that point of rebellion. And so what did Moses have to do? Moses had to go to God. Moses had to check with God. Can those three tribes stay on that side? You've asked us all to come to the promised land. Can they stay on that side? And so God then worked out provisions for them. He worked out basically a deal with them. Sure, but what you're going to do is, I'll give you that, but you got to do what? But when they go to the other side and wars go on, your tribe have to be there. So you all have to go into war when you cut across, when you go over. And then once they've settled, once they've gained the land, then they can go back, Manasseh, Gad, and Reubenites, then they can go back to the land that was theirs. Now they can go back to the land. But until then, here you go. But until then, what is he doing? He's working something out to let them know this is the only way this will work. So they're going to go across. But remember in 34, what was going on? Remember God talks about what with them going over. God set what? Boundaries. Remember God set boundaries. Now the question was, when I was talking to you all last week, those boundaries were to the point that David and his men could not completely conquer everything that God had promised them. So can you imagine how much land God has given the 9.5? Remember this 9.5? That's coming over. So I made the statement, boundaries. And then we saw Mediterranean, and then we saw the Red Sea, or Black Sea. We saw those seas. And then I made the statement, well, the Pacific and the Atlantic. And I made the statement, they actually do come together. They really do come together. Yet at the same time, the Pacific cannot cross over to the Atlantic, and the Atlantic cannot cross over to the Pacific. I don't care how heavy the waves is. I don't care how hard the waves is. It's amazing as if there's a blockage. I'm shocked. Mankind has never adventured into that to find out how can that be? How can that water not cross over when it's water? And there's no stones, there's no rocks, you know what I'm saying? There's no borders that's in between that. Yes, just water, but so how can it be?
It's not just water, it's moving water.
I like that. It sure is. It sure is.
That's
It's
even
not
more
still
amazing.
water.
Yeah.
That's even more amazing.
But I like this.
You just kind of wonder. I mean, it's just amazing how God hold everything together. That this water is moving and it's touching, but it's not mixing.
That's why I said it's amazing. I said when we start talking about somebody that says they're atheists and someone that says they don't believe in God, boy, if we could only get them all in a truck and go right there and let them say, you want to explain that one to us? You really want to explain that one to us? Let's say we can push it over there. Why is it won't go over there? Isn't that amazing? That's the boundary. That's, in our eyes, that's a miracle. But in reality, that's God. God set boundaries. He said, I set the boundaries. And that's one of the places we can go and actually see a boundary set that mankind has not figured out yet how that can be where they can't cut across and it can't cut across. You think by now it would have mixed. But it hasn't, but it's just like it is. And that's why they can call it the Pacific, and that's why they can call it the Atlantic. Isn't that amazing? So I said that to say this because remember now what he's doing. He says they're now at Jericho, right? And remember, you're one. He says, well, they're at Jericho. They're by the Jordan. Watch this, across from Jericho. See it? They're across from Jericho. Watch this. Pull your paper again. Getting the opposite. See it?
Of what you deserve.
Go ahead.
Getting the opposite of what you deserve or grace is the central point of Numbers 35. It begins with the Levites being given cities in which to live, scattered throughout the promised land, whereas other tribes were assigned whole portions of the land. The Levites were only given a few cities, 48 to be precise, scattered among the inheritance of the other tribes. In comparison to the land granted to other tribes, that might have seemed to be a poor provision for their faithful labor around the tabernacle during the wilderness wanderings. If you were a Levite, you might have thought you were not getting what you deserve. Why should everyone else get so much more than you?
Now, listen. The Levites got how many?
48
48 what?
cities.
Did you see it? They got 48 what? Townhouses. You see what I'm saying? They got 48 cities, guys. It doesn't say how big the cities were. But we're talking about cities. They got 48 cities. Stop and weigh that out. I told you no boundaries is what he was talking about. And here you already have, you got to make sure that the Levites who weren't watchers or will not get anything, all of a sudden they got 48 cities. We know that 6 of those are going to do something. But 48 cities is what we got that the Levites got. Wait till you see what the other ones got. Because they got 48. And I put it down here, and by looking at it, you would think the Levites would complain. That's all we get. You know, shouldn't we get much more? But why are you giving us just 48 cities when as we cross over, you see what I'm saying? And look at the boundaries, we don't see boundaries. So why do they get 48? And it's amazing, I want you to see that, because who does he start off with? The Levites. See that? He starts out with the Levites. Why the Levites? Why the Levites? Because they're what?
Those are your priests.
That's your priest. So your priests are then what? You're there. They're what we call your leaders. So you've got your priests that are come over. They're the ones that would hold what? Those articles. They would be the one that God gives them to things that they need to do. Others can't touch certain things. They can, the Levites, so he moves the Levites, he want to move them in first, and then we can go ahead and lay things out. But God's, they're all God's people, but God's special people will come in, and they're going to set the pattern. So you got, and so by looking at this, you're saying 48 cities. I'm trying to figure out what would be the complaint. If it's 48 cities you're getting, and the other ones haven't gotten their locations yet. Or, when we start to read this, is God giving us the history, but it starts off with the Levites. And they are also aware of some of the places they got. That's the only time you can complain. Stop and think about it. I can't complain, all about 48 cities. Well, what did you get? You ain't got nothing yet. So I can't complain unless you too have. So this is why I said when we study the Old Testament, there's some things that's going on that God wants us to see first. He wants us to see this first. And what do you want us to see first? Your people. You want us to see your people. That's important that you get us to see your people. I better not repeat that. No? Okay. So watch this. So then if this is the case, I want you to do something. So watch this. Getting back to our text. I said, so then watch this. 3 says, they shall have the cities to dwell in. And their common land shall be for their cattle, for their herds, and for all their animals. Do the Levites get cattle and herds? You hear me? Don't y'all leave me out there. Now does this make sense? One more time, let me just see. By looking at it, it says, command the children of Israel that they give the Levites cities to dwell in from the inheritance of their possession. And you shall also give the Levites common land around the cities. They shall have the cities to dwell in. And their common land shall be for their cattle, for their herds, and for all that happens. and for their animals, right? You got nothing? Yeah, okay. So then watch this. No, we don't know. So if this is the case, now watch this. 4 says what? 4
On
says
the land of the city,
Uh-huh.
which you will give the Levites, shall extend from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits all around.
Okay, keep going.
And you shall measure outside the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. The city shall be in the middle. This shall belong to them as common land for the cities.
So then I want you to see something. Why then would the Levites get more land? Something happened. Go back to Genesis. Let me get you to Genesis. Something happened. 34. Genesis 34. 13.
And the sons of Jacob answered, let me do it.
Shechem. Now I'll say it too now.
Okay, Shechem and Hamor. Shechem and Hamor, his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. Ooh. And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to the one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. Keep going.
Yeah,
But-
I want 26. I want you to say something.
Oh, okay. But in this will we consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised. Then we will give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people.
What happened?
They started mixing.
Well, no, what happened so far? You gotta see it. Was it the Levites? This is the Levites. So what happened? What happened to Diana? Or Diana?
She was ready.
She was ready. What did the brothers do? What brother was it? Let me see if I can get straight to it. Go to 25. What brothers was it? 25.
And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that 2 of the sons of Jacob, Simeon, and Levi, and Dinah's brother,
The Levites. Samuel and the Levites. What did they do?
they took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males.
Go to 30.
And they slew Hamor and Shechem.
No,
30.
Oh, just the, I thought you said 2:30. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites.
The parasites.
Parasites. And I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and shall be destroyed, and I and my house. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot?
So what did Jacob do? What did Jacob do to Simon and Levi?
They took the sword.
Oh, what did he do to him? He said he did something to him, right? Didn't he say they embarrassed him, right? Didn't he say not only embarrassed him, he said, well, guess what? Who's going to be coming after us?
The Canaanites.
And the parasites.
All
We're
those
gonna
idols.
Huh?
All those idols.
That's right, they're coming after him. So, what did Jacob do to those two boys that did what? They plotted. They were wrong. But what did God do with the Levites? He used them for his purpose. Remember? He used them for his purpose. Remember, they're the ones that could carry the ark. Remember, they're the ones that could do all this. Remember, they were the ones that, when it came down to building and I'll say sewing, but you know what I'm saying, but making the curtains and everything, that was your Levites. So the Levites did a lot of stuff for the temple. That's why I made that statement, and I will continue to make this statement. For some reason or other, we just think this is brick and mortar when we come up in here. We say it ain't no but brick and mortar, so what does that mean? So I can come in because it ain't. See, God is interested in us. He ain't interested in brick and mortar. Then why did he spend so much time having them build that temple? Solomon took how many years to build that temple? 40. Stop and think about it.
And it was precise.
Yes, everybody. So watch this. What they're doing is they're building a tabernacle. Stop and think about it. These are in tents, right? They're just tents that they are. But yet, how they were made very special. You'd have to go back into your numbers to see it. But they were special. How they had them build those tabernacles that he called their little synagogues. This is the place that they were going to go in to worship. Remember we talked about all that, the pits and all that stuff. I said if I had the book, I'd show you. But we talked about all this stuff, how when all of this stuff was in a tent, the holies of holies was in a tent. It wasn't in a building yet. Solomon's temple ain't been built. It's in a tent. And when they moved, didn't God tell who to tear it down? The Levites. Nobody else better not touch it. And when you carry that tabernacle, when you carry that what? When you carry that ark, remember that ark was leaning? Remember that ark was leaning?
Somebody died.
Yes, died. Why would you do that, Lord? He was just trying to, he noticed that it was falling, so he reached over to get it. So why did you do it? It's called obedience. God says, this is, I told you they needed to learn. It doesn't matter. I've said obedience is extremely important with God, that we are obedient. I hear you in your New Testament, if you love me, you
Keep my commandments.
you keep my commandments. And so watch, and it makes sense if you love him. You should really stop and think about it. It does make sense if you love him. You say, well, but we can't all keep, you can't if he said it. If he says you can, you can. If he said you couldn't, that'd be a different story. And you say, no, I don't understand. Who came, who destroyed, or not, who came and ripped some stuff and destroyed some stuff and opened some stuff? Who came? Somebody came. Very important. Somebody came who was very important. That we don't have to be under the law no more. Somebody came. Hello, Lord.
Matthew 24.
God means Jesus is Lord. Jesus is the one, remember?
Matthew 24.
And watch this. And the curtains tore from top to bottom. Remember that? Tore from top to bottom. That one because he wanted to show, look, I'm going to show you how powerful I am when you turn from top to bottom. That was a symbol to let us know from top to bottom. What did I do from top to bottom? First, I produced a miracle. But why did I turn from top to bottom? Because this is the way for you to see who's on the top. Hello. But who? Which one? Which one? Who? You were close. Who? Yeah, there it is. Say it a little louder. That's who was called. So, what did he do? Because if we say the divine expression, that's Jesus. Can't be him. So then, who is the supreme deity? Or divinity? Who is that?
The Father.
The Father. So if I tore it from the top,
Say the other word.
what do you see? Oh, no, let's see. So if you've been in class, you know what. So watch this. So if I tore it from the top, what do you see if I tear it from the top? You say, I'll take up on it. So what do you see from the top? You see the Father.
Supreme divinity.
The Supreme, you see him. So now, watch this. Wouldn't that give you more reason now to rip that thing apart? Somebody think about it. Because now I see the source. I see him. So what did you do? This is what he's here, the law. They're under the law. They're under the law. Christ says, if you love me, you keep my commandments. Could they keep the law?
No.
You see what I'm saying? And watch this. And was that designed purposely where he knew they couldn't keep the law?
Yes.
Yes. It was designed purposely that they wouldn't keep the law because he wanted them to see that you need a Savior. You need the Savior. That's the only way you can get there. So he made a law that he knew you couldn't keep. But the law was a shadow of the things to come. See what I'm saying? That's what that was about. It was a shadow of the things to come. So the doors, so it's been torn down. So you can stop looking at the shadow. Now you can see the source. So when you pray, your prayers are what? I said, what did they say? Your prayers are what? I heard him say something in John the 5th chapter. I heard him say to that woman at the well. He says what? That's one day he says, you know, you're at this mountain. He says, but one day you shall what? Worship me in spirit and in truth. You won't need to go to a mountain no more. You won't need to go to a certain location to worship me. Now you can worship me in spirit and truth.
That's anywhere.
You was talking about that the other day. I said, we have a tendency of not understanding what worship means. That's the issue. So then, this coming in here do we have to do it? Well, yes, because he told you Hebrews 10:25. So yes, we do have to come and fellowship. But can I worship God anywhere?
Yes.
How?
Spirit and truth.
Yeah, but what do you mean by spirit and truth? This is what I meant when I said worship, and I'll get back to it. But this is the key. We know he says in spirit so that we can tell the truth. He is talking about the idea of your heart and your soul. He's talking about the guts, the bowels. This is what he's talking about. He says, watch it, it ain't that so I'm worshiping. No, it's not that. It is being sincere. I am not, because if I'm going to worship him, then I need to drop, stop, and give him praise. Yes.
I would say one of the root words to worship is obedience. And it said, and in truth. So you being obedient to God and your sacrifices through what you receive from his word, which is the truth.
And then let me help you something. Help you to understand something. The word in the Greek worship means work-ship. Work-ship.
Yep.
It's a work that I'm on a ship. It's an action word. It's not something that I do. It's when I put into action
The inner.
that inner person. That's when my worship becomes true. That's not to see it's distraction. But it's the idea of us surrendering ourselves completely to God. That takes work when we have been the way we are. That takes a lot of work to make that transformation. Romans 12 chapter. That takes a lot of work. Because what I want you to do is work. You know, you want to work because you're going to go on the ship. You want to work because you are going to go on, or you're going to go into Christ. See, that's where he's at. That's that worship. A lot of the time we know, well, yeah, out here too. Well, you know, I can worship anywhere. I can worship outside. Yeah, you can. But I know you don't know what it means. I know you don't understand. So you think because you said a prayer to, see, I was worshiping the Lord because, you know, well, how was you worshiping the Lord? Because I said a prayer to. That ain't worshiping the Lord. Worship is when you completely empty yourself. It's the idea. You heard me say stop, drop. That's what I'm speaking of here. Wait a minute. And I ain't talking about you stop, drop. God can see. You are giving back to God. You're giving, worship is to give, right? So you're giving back to God. And it ain't this. Because when you stop and think about it, it ain't this. Because you don't give to this, you take. So then what is it? So when I come into God's house, that's where I'm getting back to. So when I come into God's house, I recognize that God is here. As I recognize that He's here, I'm steadily walking and dropping. You hear me? I'm steadily walking and dropping. And I ain't talking about these. I am now prepared to give to God.
Because you give to Him, so.
Let me give you a good example that I've seen so far in the evening class on Sundays. Why it's got to stop? Why it's got to stop? That's what I'm hearing. Why it's got to stop? This is what he's talking about. You should have that same attitude. Why I got to stop worshiping you? Why do I have to stop? Can I just keep worshiping you? Yes. That's the attitude He wants you to have too. Why you got to stop? Let me just keep worshiping you all day long if that's what I want to do. Well, let me keep worshiping you. That's why I took you here. You got some Levites. Something took place. By what you see, because you didn't go back to Genesis. By what you see, it looks like, so why did the Levites come short? Only receive 48 cities. When the others are finna get some nice lots. Why did they only get 48? Because of the sin caught up with you. Because of your originators. Simeon and Levi. Because it caught up with you. Isn't that amazing? I keep telling folks, you are not getting out of here with your sins. They're going to catch up with you. You think, well, nothing's happening. Shoot, I don't even remember when I did that. God said, I'll make you remember. See, I discipline you when I'm ready to discipline you. Not when you think it's time to be disciplined. I discipline you when I'm ready to discipline you. Can you imagine? Guys, I said, I took you back to Genesis. Who would remember that? Help me, hear me. Not help me, but hear me. That generation is gone. Remember? That generation is gone. He's killed every one of them. This is a new generation. A new generation that should have been what? By the old generation taught. That's right. The old generation should have taught them what's going on. So now, when these Levites go in here, I wonder why come we didn't get? It is, we now know it's our forefathers that have stifled some land from us. Point is though, they still going to get some good land. But you need to see this. Something else going on with this land. Get back into your book. I want you to see what's going on with this land. I says, with this land, I says, okay, 35. So, with this land, I says, where we at? 6 says what? Because you stopped, Calvin. 6 says what? Verse 6 says what?
Now among the cities which you will give to the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge.
So now, out of our 48, what do we got? Come on, y'all.
You got 6 cities.
Yeah,
You got 42 now.
now we got is 42.
Right.
Wait a minute. Out of the 6, we got 6 of them that's got to go. And who do they go to?
To which a manslayer may flee.
Isn't that something? So they got to go to somebody that accidentally killed someone. This, when we get into this, I want you to see something. We're going to see capital murder. Capital punishment. When did God remove capital punishment? But we're under grace and truth, Jason. We're under, you know you didn't heard that. We're under grace grace and truth. So we should, because God is a merciful God, and we're under the new covenant, so we're under grace and truth. God is the God of yesterday, today, and forevermore, but you got to finish it. And he does not change. So how did this change? Don't you understand? We would need 6 cities. Oh, y'all don't hear me? We would need these cities, because these cities are for accidents. When you accidentally, you didn't mean to kill this person. It just happened. But what about those that intentionally killed? I'm going to go a little ahead and then we'll go back and study it. Did you know you killed someone? Did you know it was the state says, well, what we're going to do is we'll take them and we'll put them into the electric chair and we'll plug them up and we'll take them out. Did you know as we study this, you're going to find out the families that are suffering behind you killing their cousin? That's the family that go get you. That's the family that has the right to kill you. If you really stop and think about it, here's capital punishment that's been removed. And last time I checked, we had to let some people out because prisons are full. Isn't that something? Your prisons wouldn't be full. Don't you understand if I was going to kill you and knew that if that's going to be intentional, and I knew if I kill you, I'm going to do what? I'll die too. Do you know I won't kill you? I stop and think about that. Wait a minute. Because if I don't care how mad I am, if I kill them, I die. Today, if I kill you, you give me life.
You get 10 years.
Or like that girl. I'll get 10. I'll just say, you give me, and watch, I'll live with you 10. Go ahead and goes into what?
You get 5.
Isn't that something? Now watch this. And hold on, that's good behavior. Hold on. And if I do, come on, Rico, and if I do something extra that the government or they've asked me to do something extra, then it reduces the. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? All I have to do is find, now what that's something, okay, so I'll cut my sentences and really shut them down to around 3. But watch this. But out of the 3, I still got to go before the council or before the board, right? I'll end up with what? Probation. Isn't that something? She went to prison for 10 years. Huh?
Parole.
Yeah, right, or parole.
Parole is when you go to prison, it's parole.
Oh, okay, so much is
Automatic.
So I go to listen to what's going on when we look into this text. Let's see if it meets our requirements, or is it totally the opposite of what God has said, and that law has not changed.
Yeah.
Some kind of way it got changed. The only way it got changed is because man is greedy. Man wants pay. And how do I do this? I will put the drugs in the streets. I will put that violent person in the street that I know is going to kill somebody because they got to come back through the system. Isn't that something? It makes money. Because guess what? The state, meaning us, we make sure that they're fed, clothed, and housed. Isn't that something? Here, that ain't gonna happen. That's why you got so many people that, okay, so I'll kill him. I just go back to prison. I got a couple of buddies up that way. I go there, they say, man, you back? Yeah, I'm back. What'd you do this time? I took another one out. How much they get you? Oh, man, they got me this time. Oh, you gonna be all right? Yeah, I'm gonna be all right. Because what I want to do is then get with somebody, gangs, or what's that religion that's in there? Muslims. And I won't get touched. You better not touch a Muslim up in that prison. You better not touch it. You ain't got to worry about it. upon you be hanged. And nothing said. So then watch this. I've got, let's move down. I've got, verse 8 says what? I want to read no more.
And the cities which you will give shall be from possession of the children of Israel. But we need to go to 7 first, right? So it says 6 cities of refuge to which a manslayer may flee, and to these you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities, number 7, so all the cities you will give to the Levites shall be 48. These you shall give with their common land. And the cities which you will give shall be from the possession of the children of Israel. From the larger tribe you shall give many. From the smaller you shall give few. Each shall give some of its cities to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance that each receives. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you cross the Jordan to the land of Canaan.
When they going to get this?
When you cross the Jordan.
You finna cross over. Right. You, how close are they?
They're right there.
You better know it. They're right there. So all you need to do is just walk over. It's there. You already start to see how beautiful this is. Remember, they're so close. Something's got to happen. Somebody's got to not make it.
Then you shall appoint cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the manslayer who kills any person accidentally may flee.
See that? And you kill them accidentally. Something back in the days that I remember that you could use a lot. Remember the axe? And remember that axe head would come off? Remember that? And that axe head would come off. So if somebody was behind you and that axe head slipped or broke free, then you got it. That's an axe. So it'll kill you. Stop and think about it. But you didn't do it intentionally. But you heard of a lynch mob? You see what I'm saying? So they would want to kill you. So that person that does this has got to do what? The Bible says flee. That person got to let me wait until somebody, run a court case and talk to me. You better go now. You better go now because the people will actually kill you. Then ask what happened. Then ask what happened. So in this case, God says, I am well aware of it. Look what he's doing. He's trying, once again, showing his mercy upon them to get them to understand. You need to understand, you belong to God. You're not to treat or act like the heathens, those heathen nations, the parasites of Canaanites, all them sites, what you said. You're not to do like them. See, their thing would have been kill you on the spot. You're not to do this. So I've actually made refuges where you can go to. I made locations that you can go to. Hear me, because everyone has to know this. Not just a few where, I'm going to Moses and ask Moses where this is. Everybody's got to know what these cities are. They have to know where these cities are because you got to run. You got to go to them cities. It's very important that you get to that city if you want to live. And then, what would that mean then? That's where we come in. If I intentionally kill somebody, what do you think I'm going to do?
Run to that city.
You better know it. I'm going to run to that city. That's the danger of that, because I'm going to run to that city. The problem is, when I get into that city, and there's going to be someone that's going to check to make sure. Wait a minute, what happened? Well, then, what I need to do is hold up. What tribe are you from? What I need to do is then contact that tribe and find out what really happened. So there was still the ideal of them finding out. And as they found out, if you were the one that ran into that city, you were in worse trouble. Because now they got to throw you out there, throw you back out there, and guess who awaits you? That family. And that family, this is what I want you to see. We would say, if you kill somebody, then you are a murderer. Does God call that person? Does he call the one that is now avenging that person? Does he call them murderers? You see that? And you're not called a murderer. And God has given you the right to avenge. Someone says eye for an eye is what you're saying, 2 for 2. But that can't be eye for an eye, 2 for 2, because this is accidental. You know what I mean? That's accidental. So you gotta understand that. Eye for an eye is because you did this to me, I get to do this to you. Not if it was accidental. See what I'm saying? None of it was accidental. So then watch this. I wanted you to see it. So if you pull your papers, you went to Genesis 13:26, but I want you to see it. I got it true. See it?
Yeah.
The Levites were not getting what they deserved. To understand that, though, we need to review a little ancient history. Remember Genesis 34? Jacob's daughter, Dinah, was raped by a man named Shechem. To gain their revenge, Simeon and Levi massacred the inhabitants of Shechem, first using the covenant sign of circumcision to debilitate the men of that city.
So they did what? So he circumcised them, what he did.
Yeah.
So they circumcised them, remember? And they made the statement in the circumcision that in order for them to do what? Look what they used. In order for them to do what? You ain't the only one that's got beautiful women. No, you see it. So in order for you to marry our women, then you have to do what? You got to be circumcised, right? In order to marry our women, you have to be circumcised. So I did what? What did they do? They went through the whole what?
Process of being circumcised.
No, they went through the whole trial. They didn't just go through the men that thought that girl was hot. They said, no, your whole tribe has got to be circumcised. See that? See how the game they ran? So women, come on, man, you would do this to me, right? Because I got your back. Come on, I'll take care of you next time. But man, the whole tribe. Yeah, the whole tribe, we got to go through. I keep telling you, this is not an easy thing. This is not you go to the hospital and they put you to sleep. And cut.
Ouch.
Okay? This is what you got to see. So what we've done is cut the foreskin, and then cutting it, now you're sore, you're in pain. You can't bite because you're in so much pain. You need to go lay down so that you can recover. And guess who didn't get, and guess who's available now? I don't need the tribe. I just need a few men. Go through and kill them all. See what he did? So they turned him. They were sneaky. And God doesn't want time, even in his tribe. I don't care if they were wrong. He does not want you to sneak. Be up front. You didn't do that. Because you didn't do that, Jacob had said, which I struggle with this one, but Jacob was afraid of the what? Those surrounding nations. That's what he was. He was afraid of those surrounding nations because he knew that they would do what? Come out. Remember, they are Israelites. Everybody else around them is in sights, right? Is in parasites, Canaanites. Okay, so everybody else around them is in sights. So that would mean they are much, much larger than your little army that you have.
We're grasshoppers.
I'm trying to tell you, that's what he said. We're like grasshoppers. So Jacob is afraid. So Jacob basically curses Simeon and Levi. That's what he does. And once Jacob cursed them, that curse stands. Remember, who was it that wanted blessings and decided to take it, let it go for a bowl of soup?
Esau.
You know what I'm saying?
Edomites.
And watch this. And would it I mean, if we really stop and think about it, come on, a bowl of soup ain't no big thing. So that's the way he thought too. So then what does he do? Go back into his daddy who's blind, right? Who can't see good, right?
Right.
And so when he comes back from hunting, he's got game. That's animals. He's got it. And so now what does he do? Well, let me go in here and get this going and fix it. One thing about it, I have to say this, Mama was pretty good. Because Mama taught both the boys how to cook.
That's right.
Okay? Mama did. So now he comes in with his bowl of soup and Pops says, well, what's happening? First of all, I'm full. And now you're bringing this in, and who are you? And when he could hear the voice, because the voice did not make sense the first time. When he could hear the voice, it didn't sound like
Jacob.
you hear me? Now we got a voice that actually sounds like Esau. Now let me touch it, and oh my goodness. So remember, what did he do? I mean, Isaac, what did he do? I mean, he walked away, he cried. Why? Because he'd already given blessings out. You can't give it out, you can't reverse it. This is the same thought here in the Old Testament. Once you've given out a blessing, you can't reverse it. You can't reverse it. And it's the same way with a curse. You can't reverse it. It stands. So then watch this. I want you to see this. So then watch this. Go with Simon and said, what is it? Simeon and Levi's are brothers, right? See it?
Weapons of violence are their swords. Let my soul come not into their counsel. O my glory, be not joined to their company. For in their anger they kill men, and in their willingness they hamstrung oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel.
Now you said what I was talking about. There's a curse. So he did curse them. And it's amazing how many years have passed. Stop and think about it. Guys, if they're getting ready to cross over, just stop and think about it. How many lands have they, how long have they been in the wilderness? 40. 40 years is enough for you to forget some stuff. But remember, this happened in Genesis. This happens where it has to be told. I mean, they won't remember, these are kids. They won't know that. It has to be told. And what did God forever tell them? God told them when he was finally tired of them, he said, they shall not enter into the promised land, right? He says, go back and teach the children. What did they do? Once again became disobedient. Once again, they became disobedient. What did they do? Said, well, we're going to go anyway. We're going to say we're going to cross anyway. So we love the Lord. So we're going to say we can go in anyway because now we realize we was wrong. That's what we do. When God has told you, if he's told you to don't do it or stop, that's it. We don't need to stop. But I mean, we need to stop. But we say, well, shoot, I got to come up with a solution. I got to figure this out now. Because I got, you understand, I got to make things better. What do I need to do to make myself better with the Lord? And so then we come up with our own concoction. I'm going to help you because there was one that came up with his own concoction. Have you ever read Genesis, the 5th chapter? Cain. When Cain didn't ask God. Remember what Cain asked God? He didn't ask God to forgive him.
Yeah, my brother's keeper.
He didn't ask God to forgive him. What did he ask? The punishment you're giving me is
It's too great.
too great. It's too great. So, wherever I go, they will what?
He'll kill.
He'll kill me. So, God, what are you going to do? What did God do? He marked him. That's all he did was mark him. You know, what I'm trying to get you to see is, so often this is what you ask God. I said, okay, then I'll do it for you. When all you needed to do was ask what? Forgive me. And then I line right back up with God. But I want God to forgive me on this. Then, Lord, I'll do this. Don't just ask God to forgive you. Then you don't have to make no pledges. Then you don't have to make no vows. Binding. We do it too often. You make pledges or you make vows. Now you got to keep it. I want you to see this. I said, before I bring it to a halt, I want you to see this. So that I want you to see, because I want you to see this. And your 4 and 5. I want you to see this. Somebody read, go back to Numbers 4 and 5. I want you to see this. Somebody can read Numbers 4 and 5.
The common land of the cities,
Uh-huh.
which you will give to the Levites, shall extend from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits, all around. Said 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And you shall measure outside the cities on the east side 2,000 cubits, on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits. The city shall be in the middle. This shall belong to them as common land for the cities.
You didn't see it, so read your paper. Watch his paper. Your paper says there.
There is an apparent discrepancy between Numbers 35:4 and Numbers 35:5 with regard to the extent of these suburbs, but the statements in the 2 verses refer to totally different things. The one to the extent of suburbs from the walls of the city, the other to the space of 2,000 cubits from their extremity.
Did you see it? Did you see it in 4? Did you see it in 5? Did you see it when you read it?
Okay.
4 says,
4 says, we'll extend the walls
Extend the wall.
of a city
outward.
outward, how many?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000. Okay.
But then your 5 says what?
2,000.
2,000. See that?
Yeah.
But then your 4, 5 says 2,000. I shouldn't even say that. I should just let it alone. But I wanted you to see that because something's going on. By looking at that sounds contradictory. Is it either 2,000 or is it 1,000? No, all he's saying is there's a certain section that you're going to do for 1,000. But everything else will be what? 2,000. That's all he's saying. But if you don't see it and you start reading, you get stuck. I mean, wait a minute, something wrong with this picture. How's it this and that? This doesn't make sense. Look what he's doing. And before I advance any farther, look what he's doing. When he takes, you look at your text says, and all you just use 5. And in 5 it says that you shall what?
Measure.
Isn't that something? Keep that on your mind. God is a God of what?
Divine order.
You better know it. He's God of what? Everything is laid out exactly like it's supposed to be. Everything. That's why we're back in that class on Sunday. It's God of order. And you can see the order that he's doing. You can see how that is laying itself out. You can see how he created the world. You can see his timetable was 6 days. You say that, okay, yeah, 6 days. Oh, you don't hear me. Who's determined when a day ends? Who's determined when a day starts? Would you hear me? He said 6 days. So then, God has said, what I want to do, man didn't come up with this. What I want to do is, in a day, I'll give it, how many hours? Isn't that something? that you don't see. Something we overlook, and we don't give second thoughts about. We say, that's too simple. It is too simple, because that's the way we see it. But just like I said, the Pacific Ocean versus the Atlantic Ocean. It's amazing they never touch.
They never cross.
I mean, they never cross. They never cross one another. And Calvary said, and they're moving water. Moving water that never can come across, and the other can never come across. Moving water. How do you explain that? The same way when it comes to 6 days. Who told you 6 days? And what is 6 days? And who says that a day is 24 hours?
Right.
Who said these things? See what God did? He laid all this out. We didn't have to figure it out. He laid all this out for us. Now, what does the Jewish calendar do? What do they say time is?
6 to 6.
6 to 6. See that? So they say 6 to 6 is a complete day. See what they did? Then they went from 6 to 6. So then that would mean in our worship, if we just deal with them, but remember their worship would have been on what day?
Sabbath.
The Sabbath, right, Saturday. But if we go 6 to 6, then, and we do it like it's supposed to, when we hit 6 o'clock, it's a new day. When we hit 5 o'clock, when we hit 6 o'clock, it's a whole new day. See that? Simple things that we take lightly, but they're so powerful with God. Simple things. He's measuring the inside, the outside, 1,000. Once you get in it, 2,000. And here's my point. What if the measurements is wrong, Jason?
Like this.
You see what I'm saying? So you stop and think about it. God didn't just use anybody to do this. God skilled them. God made them. I know y'all know where I'm coming from. Your 1 Corinthians 12 chapter says, what? Many gifts. Right? So he talks about many gifts in 1 Corinthians 12 chapter. Here, this requires scale. This requires measurements, yes.
I was gonna say, I see something in there where it's more room inside the city than outside the city. And then the city is in the middle.
Isn't that something? How do you do that? How do you measure that? Look at it, it's got to be 2,000.
So it's plenty room inside.
Isn't that something? Look what God has done to them. So what are you doing, God? Protecting. I'm protecting them. You still in the protection business? Still in the protection business. What cities are they going into? We read it earlier. What cities are they going into? Canaanites.
Yep.
Parasites. You think I'm going to just let you walk in and take my place, take my spot? That ain't going to happen.
Slay them.
You better know it's got to be a war that's going to take place. Look what God is doing. Once they get in, this is what they're going to build. You better protect yourself. There's a war that's got to take place. Because you ain't going to just walk in and take my stuff. You hear me? See, and watch this. And God, yeah, he's going to fight your battle. But watch this. God could have easily wiped them out. But why didn't you wipe them out, Lord? What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
They got to depend on him.
You got it, because God has got to make sure you understand who He is. He's doing what? He's going to allow you to use your weapons to fight this battle. That is to show you that He's with you. But you're going to do what? What did we just talk about earlier? Worship. What do you mean? There's another form of Worship. Because I've got to completely depend on God. I got to completely depend on God. There's no outlets out of this. I can't get around this. Yes, and if I ever come up short, guess what's going to happen? Nothing, because I'm not going to come up short, because God is with me. How about you? I don't know any about you. I sat down and started measuring stuff. I told you when I try to cut an angle or something, I have problems. But, you know, and to still be able to line them angles exactly up. Because that's what you got to do. Everything has got to be lined up. Look how powerful this is. I took you back because I wanted you to see this. But I know my time is expired. But I want you to see how awesome God is. The God of order. The God that everything is precise. Guys, I said they're crossing over. When you come into, these are, follow the instructions and you'll live. Wait a minute, I thought they was already obeying there yet. He's giving them instructions on what they are to do. When you come in, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to build. God is once again into the building. God once again is taking those who He's put in their minds. I don't know about you. Anybody can paint, do art? In here? Anybody's an artist? You draw them? Well, watch this. What reason I said that is because if you look at an artist looks at something, and then they can do it with no problems. I mean with no problem. They can draw you with no problems, an artist. God is skilled in them. I don't care how long you went, but that's not your skill. I don't care how long you went to school. But if that's not your skill, that picture you make will still have flaws. Probably the people like me and you would never see it, but that artist will see all the flaws. I made this statement. That's why it says when it comes to folks wanting to preach and teach, it is a gift. God gives this to them. You can't see certain things, but God is, those that He's called, they'll be able to see this. And then it's up to them to, when I say paint the picture, so that you can see it yourself, so it makes sense to you. I took something so simple, 1,000 and 2,000, that you miss. But if you go back and look at it, it makes all the sense in the world. Oh my goodness, it is there. Your Bible says many called, few chosen. Your Bible says, and how can I hear without preaching? See these gifts? You see how that works? Those are gifts. It ain't, this is what I want to be. That's a desire. That man going nowhere. It's the man that God calls into. I think, man, you was talking about that, Dwayne. I can't remember one of your friends that's been at it for 30, 40 years. He came over here that time. You know what I'm talking about? Williams, whatever.
Oh, yeah, Fred.
Who?
Fred? Oh,
Fred. Yeah, Fred. When he told me that, I said, so when do you wake up and realize that's not your calling? Well, when do you wake up? But I would never heard him, but when do you wake up? Don't you understand that God wants you somewhere? You're going to be there. You don't have to worry about it. God will put you there. I say this because those that are in these classrooms teaching, it's calling. And you're going to be held accountable. Because you took it relaxed. Because you didn't prepare your lesson, but you figured ain't nobody going to know. So let me run up in here. You're held accountable when you get into that. when you get up in front and then you making mistakes in the sermon. I made that statement. Then I said to her, I said, it's amazing. We call the denominational world, we say they're teaching false doctrine. When we do it, we say, it's just an error. No, it's false doctrine. That's what it is. It's false doctrine. And you shouldn't have gotten up. But just bringing that false doctrine. Because now you have account. Because it's already went out of your mouth to God's people. And that's why God's going to get you. Because God's people are what? Sheep. Hear me? Because God's people are sheep. The sheep are some of the dumbest animals around. They don't know. And you just fed them fake news. Is that what he called it? Something to think about. Are there any statements that need to be made?